Hi, Professor. This is Jim Driscoll. Briefly, trying to cover the information in the article on the Narcinium. Based on the article that I read, it was uh, interesting on how Miner tries to project American culture through the use of a made up tribe where Narcinium is American spelled backwards, and I didn't realize that at first. And the article to me pointed out a lot of good things that I could compare from the article to America today and America in the past and our culture and how it's changed. But when it says Professor Linton first brought the ritual of the Narcinium to the attention of anthropologists 20 years ago, and the culture of the people was really misunderstood and poorly understood. And they talked about the culture hero, Noggin, I can't say it, Nakanshaw, which is actually the word Washington spelled backwards, and him chopping down the cherry tree, it made me think of George Washington, who also chopped down the cherry tree, and he was looked at as a father of America. The body and the focus of the human body and appearance of health, which is of primary concern to the American people, is the same as this Narcinium tribes. When you look at different ways they would try to make their breasts bigger, and the women that would do that would also sometimes go to other towns kind of showing off their breasts for money, and people working to gain weight or lose weight, different ways of either exercising for us or stomach stapling in today's culture to lose weight and to gain weight. A lot of times people, men specifically, will resort to drastic methods such as taking steroids or other weight gaining instruments. But the interesting thing was the Narcinium, when Miner talks about them, he touches on the healthcare system compared to the United States, and also the economic side, looking from an outside point of view. They were quite different, and one of the things that stood out was the way they did the rituals with the holy man, or the medicine doctor opens the mouth of the client and will sometimes use tools to enlarge any holes that were in their mouth cavity. If there weren't any holes in their mouth cavity, they would sometimes gouge their gums to put this supernatural substance, it's called, to help prevent decay and help to get out evil. And I could compare that to, having a root canal in today's society. And the culture was definitely masochistic tendencies and sadistic tendencies, where they were kind of gruesome and they seemed to enjoy the pain, where a lot of people today in our American culture still do that when it comes to S&M, sexual things, suffocation with sexual intercourse, and things of that nature. People are weird and they're into that sometimes. But he talks about the women and their rituals, putting their heads in ovens for an hour. I would compare that to women getting their hair done at the hairdressers and sitting under the dryer for an hour. And how things have changed. They may have been doing something similar to that. The medicine men had a temple, Latesipo, in every community of every size, and the sick would come there to try to get better. And they would have to pay money, and depending on how much they paid, it would be like how much treatment they got. And it kind of reminded me of the very sick and ill in America, that if they have money, they could be put into good institutions and nursing homes to try to get better if they're ill, or a place to basically die eventually. But that's what I would compare it to. When they're talking about magic wands into the supplicant's mouth to force him to eat substances that are supposed to be used for healing, and sticking needles in them to make them well and get the evil out. I've had physical therapy for my car accident, and they used needles like acupuncture to help relieve the pain in certain areas. So it's not too much difference from back when Miner was talking about years back than it is today. And acupuncture is still used by a lot of different foreign doctors, and we practice, yoga and meditation as they did, and also dissatisfaction from, like I said, the breast shape earlier, and they would do things to try to enlarge the women's breasts, and I would compare that as today getting implants, and the number of women that have them done that may ultimately turn out to be dancers at clubs and things of that nature, and they make money off it also, just like you said the Naciremians did. A lot of the differences would be hand gestures that we make in America. In other cultures, they may not be accepted. I have a friend that I've been corresponding with on Facebook who's from Hong Kong, and I asked her about their culture and if it was offensive to shake someone's hand or give them a hug. And she said, no, it wasn't offensive, but they're not too big on hugging. And if they like you, they'll smile a lot. And America has always been very health conscious, just like the Arsenian group has been, and oral hygiene, is a big thing in. So where we might give somebody a high five or an okay sign or peace or something of that nature, this is not good in our country. This is not good in our country. But in other countries, it may not be offensive. I think in most countries, the middle finger would be offensive to most people, know what that kind of refers to. But trying to evaluate this and the changes, the biggest change I would see would be in the Pledge of Allegiance. When we say it in America, a lot of countries would say that we're trying to indoctrinate our children by forcing them in schools to say the Pledge of Allegiance, where originally the Pledge of Allegiance in 1923, it didn't have the word "the flag" of the United States of America, and they added that in, and that's when the saluting started, with hands up and hand palm down to the flag, and you would salute. And they stopped using that in World War II because it was so similar to the Nazis' salute. It was offensive to a lot of Americans. And that's when they started putting their hand on the heart for saying the Pledge of Allegiance or saying the national anthem. And in 1954, Under God was added. And in the very end of the Pledge of Allegiance, it almost does sound like we're trying to, as Americans, brainwash ourselves, our children, into loving America, which a lot of countries do, including China, where they want the people to worship and to praise the motherland and the country and love the government. And very interesting topic, a very different way to look at things from this point of view. And that's all I could say at this time. Thank you.